Hello everybody. So welcome to my live. I know it's been a little while since I've been on. I've been having a lot of things in the works. So I wanted to make sure we're getting this new stool test in. I'm really excited about it, but I wanted to make sure I ran it on myself before I actually gave it to the public. Okay? So the test that we were running previously was running through doctor's data. And the test is a fantastic test. It really is. And then there's another level that you can go to with using this newer test. So the previous test was good with analyzing how your probiotics are doing, but more importantly, what it did a great job, an even better job of, is seeing if we had any type of bacterial overgrowth or infections or yeast infections, parasites, kind of so on and so forth. But it was missing a few pieces. So I've been test shopping, and one of the new lab companies that we were working with, which is Vibrant, we've been using their food sensitivity testing. It's been doing an amazing job. It's very user friendly. They also have a test called a Gut Zoomer 3.0. So I wanted to run it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go over this new test that we just got in, and not only the new test we just got in, but the new test result that we got back that is my own. So this is going to be going over my own stool test. So for those of you who don't know my background, I did have mold toxicity in one of the homes that my wife Megan and I had lived in previously, and what that did was totally destroyed my gut. So I had recurring infections, time and time again. I'd kill some, then I'd get some more, and it was just like this vicious cycle until we got out of the environment. I ended up killing off the infections that were in there. And so this is like your follow-up test to see what else I can potentially work on. So at our office here at Structure Chiropractic, we're chiropractor first, but we're also I'm a functional medicine practitioner. So what I'm doing is going over ways to be proactive whenever it's coming to your health instead of ways to be reactive, okay? Because what we're trained to do overall in society is we're trained to react to symptoms. So we keep working or we keep ignoring things until things get out of control. And when they get out of control, then we're like, what happened? How did this happen to me? My bad luck or my bad genes, what can I do now? And so once it gets to that point, what we're seeing is that, listen, it's going to take a lot longer to correct the problem or to correct the cause when we are reactive versus if we analyze it before we ever even have a symptom. Again, being more proactive. So we get results quicker. And I'm going to talk about a couple things here as well that are new, that I keep learning and researching and loving whenever it comes to especially working with the gut microbiome. So let's go over this. So, hey Plunkett, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in here. I know it's been a while, so thank you for jumping on. Alright, so I'm going to share this here, if I can do this real quick. Boom, there we go. Awesome. So here's what we have here. I don't know what that is right there. Alright, so what we have here is my Gut Zoomer test. So this is, by name, my date of birth, for those of you who think it's hidden as to how old I am. I'm 33. Weight, I'm about 205. Not a big deal. Alright, so what this is doing here is more or less showing you, all right, what are we testing, what are we comparing, and what do we need to do to get things under control, all right? So here is a super, super, super exciting page. Does anybody know what this means? Probably not. Pretty self-explanatory, really. So there are a couple of markers that are in here, all right? And so we have things that are going to be on here. We're going to have, I'm a young pup. Yeah, I always joke around and say I'm actually 76 years old, but I've just been taking care of myself for a while. So yeah, I'm only 33, but I have plenty of years of experience under my belt because I've been through the ringer myself. So we have markers that test for intestinal permeability. We have markers that will tell you your cardiovascular health. We have markers that go after metabolic health, neurological diseases, irritable bowel disorder, hormonal issues, SIBO, autoimmune conditions, nutrition, liver diseases, and IBS. So when we're looking at this, one of the main questions that people will get, or one of the main reasons that people will come into my office, is because they're dealing with hormonal issues. So if we're working on trying to deal with hormonal issues, that can kind of piggyback what we're seeing on this test, because if we have abnormal health or abnormal flora down in our gut, then our hormones will never function at 100%. Right? Our bodies are always designed to adapt, heal, function, and operate at 100%, but sometimes we have things that can be tossed into the mix that can throw things off and make our body go haywire, and that's when we have a symptom. So previously, on previous health tests that I did, through doctor's data, you'll see some of these markers here on the Vibrant test. I had markers for positive find of irritable bowel disease. So looking at ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease that was initiated through mold toxicity. So I don't have those particular markers anymore, which is pretty phenomenal, which is calprotectin and lactoferrin, and there's some other ones too. But really, my overall gut health is starting to come back to normal. And one of the most exciting things for me, if you can see, is going to be this guy right here, okay? No gut pathogens. Really exciting. So again, going throughout, we have the Shannon's Index, we have the Simpson's Index. So if we look through this, we're going through, so Shannon's Index is a scale from 0 to 3, Simpson's Index is 0 to 1, both calculations. Higher index value represents increased diversity of species. So we want to have a more diverse amount of species in our gut because everyone's gut health, it's kind of like unique to them. We're not all 100% the same, so we want to be very diverse. And there's research too with some of the African populations, the tribal African populations that have phenomenal diversity and hardly ever get sick. So a lot of American practitioners are trying to mimic whatever they do down there here, which is impossible because they're dealing with impoverished environments, so they're with dirt. They have improper living environments. There's a lot of things that kind of come into play with that. So we can't match that, but what can we do? We can actually work on interpreting this and getting our diversity to come back up. Okay, so that's these two indexes right here. So I need a little bit of support on these indexes here. I'm below half on the Simpson's, and I'm about half on the Shannon's Index. Okay, so going down. So inflammation and digestion insufficiency. So what is this talking about? So calprotectin is one of those ones I told you is going to be related more towards your irritable bowel syndrome, irritable bowel disease. And if you have that and lactoferrin push up real high, then we can have more things happen. Pancreatic elastase, all right, mine is down at 110, okay, 110.6. Normal range is greater than 200, but I usually see greater than 500 is actually one of the reference ranges that I push for. So what does that mean for me? So this test is a great way to see, well, what can we do naturally to work on improving this? So consider digestive support with betaine HCl, which of course is a product that we have here, and then working with some pancreatic enzymes. So we actually have a product that combines the two of them that I'm really excited about, that we started to just hold, not just for me, but then for also patients who had the same thing come up. Right, here's a couple other markers that showed up here that, again, these were not tested in the doctor's data test, so just a little extra stuff that's in here. Okay, going down through here, these are the metabolites, but what we call them are SCFAs, or short chain fatty acids. So what does that mean? We have, or I have, low valerate here, and I have relatively low short chain fatty acids. All right, so just so everyone knows here, whenever I was doing this protocol for myself originally, what I was doing was blasting my gut with destroying these infections that I had. I think I had three bacterial infections at one point, then I had yeast overgrowth at another point, so I just kept bouncing back and forth. So when you go through and you carpet bomb all those things, even though you're using natural antifungals or antibiotics, you're still going to have an effect on your probiotics as well as your short chain fatty acids, because short chain fatty acids are kind of mixed in with those probiotics. So now I'm in the second R, which we'll talk about, but it's basically going to be working on repairing the intestinal lining here. Okay, I'll get to that later. So going through, we have this guy right here. All right, beta-glucuronidase. So beta-glucuronidase is one of those markers that was not on the doctor's data test, but I really love this test. What this does is it tests for your estrogen metabolism in the gut. We're going to go down into another marker here too, and this is just another way that these things can impact your overall hormonal health. Beta-glucuronidase, if that pokes up really high, it also is a big sign for potential colon cancer. So it's a great marker to make sure we have and understand, so that way we're not leading to not just estrogen dominance, but also making sure we're not at risk for something that's a little bit more damaging. And here's the cream of the crop. All right, so here's what we have on this test. We actually have these being outlined out here. We have a spot where we're talking about intestinal permeability, lower short chain fatty acids, lower butyrate. So I had low acromantium mucinophilia, and then I had high, just a little bit higher, Enterobacter. Okay, so what I need to do is basically support on raising this back up, which are some very easy whole food things you can do, but you need to get some polyphenols in from some healthy foods. Okay. Down here, low levels of probiotics, so I'm low on the lactobacillus culture. All my other ones are relatively normal here, so some advice, because I have intestinal permeability, These are some of the supplements that would be recommended due to that permeability. Also probiotics, these are the main two that I'm low in, so I need to work on replacing those, okay? Down here, gut microbiome is SIBO. So anytime you see this pink box or red, however you want to look at this, this shows that you have something out of the normal range in there. So here we have higher than normal with Staphylococcus, and we have Clostridia, high Clostridia. The two of those would indicate, pushing towards SIBO. All right, probiotics in this level here. Okay, measures for atherosclerosis, stroke, cardiovascular disease. So I really like this because it's again showing that your probiotics have a huge impact on your overall health, and so it basically puts these all together. So when you see things out of normal, you can see what you could potentially be at risk for. All right. And celiac, so high Enterobacter, again shown up there, high Staphylococcus. That's going to be something that can be seen in celiac. Now I only have two that are high, and again there's ways for me to get that back to normal. I don't have celiac disease, but it's basically saying that if I keep this up, if I keep having a worn out gut, these are some things I can deal with. Next one is again dealing with a low Akkermansia, and it can lead to psoriatic arthritis. Inflammation and allergy, I have low and 2 Clostridia strains down here. Again, just going into what this is showing across the board. All right, over here I have positive find. My wife Megan was laughing at this, the diabetes or metabolic health. I'm not at risk for that, but again, these two guys kind of come in hand with this. So the Egerthala and the bacterioids, those two are markers again for the diabetes or metabolic health. Over here would be a low BMI, and then again, challenge for metabolic health. And then again, talking about the Akkermansia, can cause obesity, diabetes, and metabolic health challenges. So IBS markers, digestive insufficiency. Again, talking about those same 2 lactose strains. All right, going down through here. So basically what I'm trying to go through is, I don't want to go through all this because it's 22 pages long, but the overall theme of this test is basically that what it's going to do is it's going to graph out and test. I mean, you even have autism markers on here, depression markers, MS markers on here. So when people are saying, well, what can I do? I have this condition. Why are you testing my stool? Well, this is why. Because what we're seeing here is that we have higher risks in these certain boxes. Okay, now you'll see a couple of these are repeats, but the reason that is because it keeps going through and it keeps testing these things, and it'll show you that the overall bacterial growth in your gut is going to have a direct effect on your overall health. So what I basically got through is I got through the elimination phase, basically where I was avoiding my food sensitivities and making sure I was destroying the pathogens that I had in my gut, and now I'm going into the next phase, which is working on rebuilding and repairing the actual intestinal lining. So what we can find is, God bless me. So a lot of times what we'll find is that we do a great job of eliminating these certain infections, but we don't do a great job of actually nurturing the gut to make sure we don't become reinfected. So we can have, God bless me again, I'm apparently allergic to California poppy because I took some before this. Just kidding. So what we find is there's that direct correlation there. So this will give you that perfect overall look and what's going on with your health and how you can be more proactive and more preventative. So there's going to be 4 R's that we talk about, or that I talk about in my office, and I'm on phase 2 of that. So what I'm urging you to do is, if you haven't had this test run before, it's one of the ones that's a little bit more expensive. It's not covered under insurance, but it gives you, again, a huge picture on what's going on with your overall health. We start with the gut first, and then we can start shifting gears and going towards other things. Because once our gut is sufficient, then we can start talking about hormones, and we can start talking about neurotransmitters or maybe micronutrient testing. Depends on what your needs are based off your overall health. So that being said, I'm going to try to cut this video a little bit shorter because I have a patient coming in here. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm an open book with whatever I'm going through, whatever you're going through, and I'd love to be able to help you out. So if you like this, if you haven't had a stool test run, please do this. I'm one of the few docs in the area. Well, I know I'm the only doc in the area that runs this test, but I can do this across the country. So if you have a friend, family member, loved one that you know something's going on, please reach out and we can get a test to them, and we'll take it over from there. So take care, guys. Have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you all soon.